Cheers, Richie.
Cheers.
The first inaugural.
Inaugural brewskis.
There it is.
Prost.
Ugh. Okay. So this is the first test. The inaugural podcast.
The first try.
We are live. I think everything works. And my camera's a little crooked. So we'll fix that.
Oh, tilties.
There we go.
Do you want the feet? There you go.
Got it.
Action.
All right. So, this is the inaugural podcast. Richie was so kind to come over here tonight and help me with music sampling so I can post more stuff to my YouTube channel to add on to my 10 viewers. I think the highest view I've gotten on any YouTube channel video.
It's growing.
32 views is the highest I've gotten.
That was the baby video?
You should just label stuff as cats
Cats
and then
babies.
you get 1,000 views right away.
I think that would be a good way to make a couple bucks on the web.
So what we're going to talk about today is mostly where we're from, why we're in Vancouver, and why we so effectively left New Brunswick to come out here and how that happened. So this is the very first podcast, and it's hard to say what I'm actually going to keep in this particular podcast, but for starters, and one of the things I'll do is just introduce myself. So this is WattsyVision, and I'm Andrew Watts, the podcast host. It's going to be a nice, interesting, strange, probably tangent-led, speaking over each other type of conversation.
A couple times, yeah.
But that's just how it's going to go. So I guess we're going back a long ways. I'm 38 years old right now, and when we were growing up in New Brunswick, Richie is also from New Brunswick, so he can attest to this. It's very cold.
A little cool.
It took a long time for me to figure out that BC was the warmest place to be in Canada. And that's what really started me just looking into being in BC. I don't know, Richie, what do you think? What was your the first thing that you were like, I'm going to look at BC. I'm going to move there.
I would say that assessment's right. Mine was a fluke, though. I have no previous knowledge or no master plan. I had to go back to school. Well, I didn't have to. I decided to go back to school. But then, long story short, could do more school out here. Did, and within about 2 weeks realized it was massively better weather. And it's not just winter weather. It's also summer weather is massively better.
Well, this is the thing that I was going to get into was, you were in your mid-20s when you started really looking at BC. And same with me. I didn't even think about any place outside of the Maritimes or New Brunswick until I was outside of my 20s. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, look, there's this other world that exists outside of our bubble. Because it does kind of feel like a bubble. No COVID pun here.
It's easy to get that perspective. I think it's anywhere in the world you live. You get comfortable. The next big thing is probably the next big city close to where you are, which for us was probably Halifax. So Halifax, go to down Nova Scotia. Whoa, you're in Halifax, big city.
Yeah.
And then you're maybe you get a little older. You go to Toronto. You go to a couple other places. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. You're puddle hopping.
Yeah.
You're puddle hopping around. And that's what I was doing. I'd say in between New Brunswick to Halifax, that was the biggest move of my life. I still remember going there and looking for an apartment, getting a lease, looking for the right place. And it's very weird because you're just used to living with your parents and being on their insurance plan and driving their car and living in the same province.
You had the one mall and then the bad mall.
Yeah, hanging out at the mall when you're 16.
That's it.
Going to Reitman's.
Yeah.
Going to Reitman's. I think they're out of business now. They're the equivalent of Blockbuster Video to clothing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like they'd really be that successful long term.
I feel like my aunt worked there, and I don't know.
It does feel like every time I go back to New Brunswick, I've seen another business die that used to be there when I was younger. Right. I mean, they put new stuff in, obviously, but
it changes. It always changes. So last summer, I went back there, and where my parents were in the Maritimes, at the cottage, Cambridge Narrows, shout out, where they were, there's no other cottages. There's farmland, cows, whatever. Just
it's agriculture area basically, cottage town.
Yeah. The people are picking up. The secret's out. The hidden gem is now somewhere it's not hidden anymore. So It's got more population, I think. I don't know. I don't talk about these things with my parents when I visit.
It makes sense because we're going out there as kids. It'd be like if I saw one other car on the road all the way out to your family's cottage, it'd be like, well, I gotta race this other car.
Yeah. You have these weird interactions with people that when you're like you get your driver's license, because like when you're 15. As a 15-year-old kid, you can't wait to get your driver's license.
It helps, especially in New Brunswick. Well, especially in St. John, New Brunswick.
There was like no transit. Not that I was thinking about it.
There was no transit there. Like, especially being out in the burbs, it was pretty much like I couldn't go anywhere until I had a license. Yeah,
that's just it. Like you are really trapped. Like I go to school, then I do whatever extracurricular I have, then I go home and I have dinner, and that's it. And then you hit 16, and all of a sudden you got this license, and it's like, oh, I can drive to the west side of St. John, New Brunswick.
And it's weird because parents didn't seem too happy about me driving the cars. But even before that, I'm pretty sure they hated that I had friends because it was like every day after school at like 7 p.m. Oh, I'm at Nathan's house. You come pick me up. Like he's like, you weren't allowed to go there after school. It's like, well, it was either I take the school bus there or I wasn't going to go. So I decided to go.
And then you wake up for school and it's much more convenient in the morning. Yeah. Because it's just like you're closer.
So close.
And like the fights to like, can I have a sleepover, Mom?
Yeah.
Please. And then the mom would talk to the other mom.
It was a big ordeal.
Yeah.
Communication, transportation.
It was like selling them on a service that cost them a whole whack of money. And it was just like, please, let me just stay over.
Yeah.
Like the other mom's making cookies. You start like making up all these like great reasons as to why you should be there. But they knew all you wanted to do was like stay up late, watch a bunch of Schwarzenegger movies.
Yeah, pull out a Predator movie, that'd be great.
Predator 1 over and over again on repeat.
Multiple repeats.
Yeah.
We're going to have to rewind. Yeah, those were different times.
Yeah.
But New Brunswick, it was pretty crazy back then to now. It's way different, but it still doesn't necessarily feel much busier when I'm there. Not really.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like going back to visit the Maritimes?
I usually just don't like to go. I mean, I would see my family would be great, but for $1,000, I'd way rather meet them somewhere, which is we would both enjoy being. But that's just me being really self-centered.
That's adult too. That's an adult. The way that like my parents still think about it is like we'll go somewhere, but it's particularly attractive destination if we already have a family member who's there. Then that family member can act as their hotel for the week.
That's
and
true.
I always tell them, no, you're not. You should stay at a hotel, a nice one. You're retired. Enjoy your time.
Enjoy your time. Yeah. You gotta treat yourself occasionally.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think between, because I actually moved out to Victoria before Vancouver, really.
Right.
But like the summers here are more like, what do you call it? Like an arid. It's not a desert, but it's air. Like it's not. In real summer here, it doesn't really rain very much.
Yeah.
It's rained a bit this year, but usually it doesn't rain that much in the summertime.
Yeah.
Whereas I remember growing up, it would be like 2 days of sun during the week, and then every weekend you were just praying that it would be sunny. And it was like 50-50.
Yeah. It was nice. I mean, it was definitely unpredictable. Like I just remember spending all kinds of time at my cottage, and if it was raining, I would complain all day and all night, and if it wasn't, I would be outside in the water. Like,
always take advantage.
Sea-Doo, four-wheeler, all the toys, and like there was just that's one of the things I noticed that was really weird when I went back this time. There was a lot of dogs off leash. Not used to dogs off leash living out here.
That's fair. Yeah, it's true. People don't really.
Yeah.
I think it's normal, I guess, because in the city it's like a big deal. Everyone's walking around with a leash, and you get caught with your dog off a leash, it's like you get a fine probably.
I wonder if you do. You probably get a fine or something. I know you got to pick up after them, but like there's no picking up after these dogs when I was a kid. I remember like the dogs would like walk around like a gang, and they would all just kind of like follow each other and then go to sleep under the same tree, and then they would get hungry and go home. But now it's like if you talk to anybody who owns a dog out here, I'd say it's a full part-time job, because your free time after you're done work is somewhat spent just helping like the dog get outside and do its thing. Yeah,
it doesn't really do anything.
So you gotta want it. You gotta really love it. I wanted a dog so bad when I was a kid, so bad.
We had a dog for a bit.
Really?
For a little bit. We had a dog when I was basically born. And then we had it till I probably got to junior high. So until I was probably like 12, 13.
What kind was it?
Like full mutt mixed terrier kind of thing.
Oh,
yeah.
like one of the little,
He was a
like a
friendly-
little,
Yeah.
like hairy dog.
It was about as, like, it was pretty. It
Shows how
wasn't as
much I know about
small. It
dogs.
was probably about as big as like your average lab, maybe a little bit smaller than a lab, but
Yeah.
it was a super friendly dog. Like in terms of good or bad dogs, it was an awesome dog. It would never
Yeah.
hurt anything. As kids, we would like run up and down the halls and it would chase you for fun. It would be just like a fun dog, and it would bark at strangers coming down the street kind of thing. But that's about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, my parents they never wanted to buy me one, so I had to lean on my grandmother's dog.
Yeah.
It was a beagle named
Yeah.
Dudley.
Dudley
A
the
beagle named Dudley, and it
Yeah.
would bark and go bonkers at every stranger that walked
Yeah.
in. It lived on a chain linked to like the cab of a truck that my grandfather had removed from his truck, and then the dog just lived in it and it was placed on the ground.
Oh, okay, that's pretty crazy.
So he just lived there, and he was like living and it was big. It was a big space for a little beagle.
Yeah.
And then you pull into the driveway and the dog would come out and
Yeah.
just
Just go
freak
nuts.
out on you.
Yeah, there's a person here.
But as
Yeah.
soon as it like smelled you, be like, okay, you're cool. I like you.
Mhm.
But it was like a good dog to have if strangers kind of pulled in
Yeah,
the driveway.
making
at
sure
night.
people aren't messing
They
around.
lived in
your
a
house.
rural place, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, so they were like, out there.
Yeah, I think around here, it's like so much money to have a dog, anyways, because like all your time is taken up taking care of the dog, the stuff you need to take care of the dog, like obvious stuff like
Yeah,
shots, other stuff,
it's a lot of money. It's
and time, like
yeah.
the time, which is money.
I look at the time part of
Yeah.
it more than anything, for sure, and space. Like, how much space do you have for that dog to run
Yeah, unless
around?
you're really out there in like a proper suburbs where you can actually open your door and let the dog out.
Yeah.
Like that's what we used to do. We just like let the dog out the door, and it would
Yeah.
be just gone until we said, yelled his name out the door. Pippin, come back. Okay.
Pippin.
Yeah.
Was this after Scottie Pippen?
No, everyone always chose that.
I always think this.
Nathan used to dig out that one. That was my dad. He was a good old Lord of the Rings. Is that right? Yeah, Lord of the Rings fan.
Oh, Pippin, Lord
One
of the
of-
Rings.
one of the
Pippin.
hobbits. One of the
One of the
hobbits.
little, the
Yeah.
hobbits.
I don't know why I didn't call it like one of the good
Wow.
ones, like Frodo or Bilbo, but
So your dad was into Lord of the Rings.
oh, he's
way before.
He's fully committed to the British lore, if you will.
What's he think of the Lord of the Rings movies?
I think he probably likes them. Probably. I don't think I've
Mm.
heard him complain about them too much.
Well-
Pretty easygoing as far as criticism goes. He's probably not a very critical person. I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, your dad's pretty chill.
Yeah.
I still like remember him from back in New Brunswick, but I only met him a couple of times then.
Just a handful. Yeah.
When I saw him at your wedding, like this most recent time, I was so excited. I was so happy to see him
It's been
again.
a while, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's getting up on years now. He's got the long hair these days, which
Yeah,
is different. Which is
shagging
different.
out.
Yeah,
for
might as
sure.
well. It's like he's getting on into full retirement pretty close. So
Is he?
pretty close, I'm sure.
Ooh,
Yeah, pretty close.
smells
Yeah.
that pension.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's got to be 50. He's got to be getting close to 70.
Oh wow! All right,
I don't know if he's actually 65 yet or not.
he's close to 70. Round up
I'm
at
just doing,
64.
I'm doing the math from when he was born. So 50, 15 and 16. Yeah, so he's probably he's right around 65, I think, right now.
That's
Pretty sure. So
Yeah.
retirement age kind of thing.
Yeah, my parents have a few years on him.
Yeah.
A few years on him
Yeah.
for sure. No, they're like that. That's what I'm like kind of thinking about it when it comes to like going home. For some reason, I have this like small lure to like make sure I keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, if you think about every friend that we had, they're all gone. No one's left.
That is the other thing, I guess.
That's the tough thing.
Like, I'm not going back to see anyone but them, and like they
Same.
can't entertain me forever. And so then okay, what can I do around town? And there's nothing to do there. So it's like you get sitting around,
Mm.
go to like Boston Pizza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That was what really made it okay. Like, imagine going back because I know a bunch of people who've like went back, not just to St. John, but
move.
moved because
Moved
they're like,
back,
oh, we want
yeah.
a family, let's
Yeah.
just move there. And then they go back, and when I talk to them, they're like, actually, I regret being here
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
because I kind of miss. I went back on basically it's like poker when you go all in
Yeah,
on
that's true.
something,
Yeah.
and you go back, but it's not the same kind of deal.
I mean, it's obviously more affordable, which is a benefit. Like, it's
That's
literally
huge.
it's ludicrous to compare.
Yeah,
Like, you can't even really talk about house prices in the same.
yeah,
Like, they're not even the same category. Like, for what you pay for rent here, you could own a mansion pretty much.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So
And like it's almost like you're in two different countries when it comes to real estate pricing on the West Coast here versus
But
pricing on the East Coast.
I have heard that the taxes, the property taxes, are more, but again, the houses aren't worth as much, so it's not a big deal.
Right.
So like the relative dollar value for your taxes is probably similar, but
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. I mean that there's probably different ways to treat taxes. I think it's provincially, but also like I think federal is just one straight rate,
yeah.
but
like just like the actual provincial, like your property tax specifically is the one I think that would be different.
Well, here in this house, it's like around 100, little over 100 a month for taxes when you add it all up. Yeah. But my parents were saying that the taxes on their cottage, which is a property that's, far less like in terms of market value.
Maybe like a tenth of this place?
Yeah. Like around a tenth of this place.
Yeah.
But their taxes are like 10 times more.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
Yeah, 10 times more than mine.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. It's weird.
Taxes, I'm all for paying for fair share, like income taxes, those types of things. Of all the taxes, though, property tax to me is the one that's the most like frustrating. Because yes, there is upkeep of the community and stuff.
Yeah.
But at some point, you're just being taxed because you want to own, not because you own there. If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. You're paying taxes into like a municipality that you're like, I wish I could like select my allocation, because we get an allocation in North Van. You might get that too, where it's just basically a circle like chart, and it just breaks out everything like what it is your taxes are going into. And the new one this year, the one that I found interesting was the tax on sugar drinks. Like pop and stuff? Yeah, sweet drinks. They started taxing that.
That's interesting.
I don't know what that portion of the tax is going into, but
yeah,
they started taxing that here in North Van. So
yeah, there's some taxes which are almost unnoticeable for most people, I'm guessing. And so like it's just like, you can just pull in a cool million there. Let's just throw in 10 cents and like make a couple $1 million kind of thing.
Just crunch some numbers and go, we can get this much revenue out of this. And it's, hey, why not tax stuff like that? Tax the stuff that makes you a little bit less
luxury
healthy.
Items. Tax the luxury items.
Tax the luxury items. Yeah. Why not? Luxury cars are subject to that too. I don't know what the threshold is.
I don't know, but the problem, like the tax obviously is more. The problem with the luxury thing on vehicles here is not so much the tax is the insurance. Is foolish, but yeah,
that's
like,
true.
At least on back east, if you have like a really stupid expensive car, you're more than likely to have a lot more expensive insurance. Whereas here, it's just like, you drive a Camry, you drive a Lamborghini, you pay the same insurance. It's just like, come on, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. No, that doesn't seem right. There's a lot of things like that. It's funny when we become adults, we start figuring out all these things that are like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. And then you kind of like start talking to other people and like, does this make sense? And then they'll tell you something.
Not really.
Like, actually, I agree, it doesn't make sense. Or it's like, actually, it makes sense because of this. And it's like, oh, good. Well, if you know, then tell me, and then I'll learn something new.
There can be reasons that's true. You don't know all the ins and outs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I look at, it's just funny how when we're kids back there, like your main concerns when you're growing up at like probably junior high school, I remember like the concerns were, what sports am I going to play?
Yeah.
And like what are going to be my extracurriculars? So the big ones were, and like music wasn't even on the radar at all. Snowboarding I didn't do, which I do now. Yeah. So basically everything I do now, the only thing that's left from my childhood is basketball. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Play basketball, but everything else is like new stuff, like guitar, snowboarding,
taking it up since high school,
downhill biking on all the mountains out here. I've basically like defected and now acclimatized myself to North Van.
That's one thing about coming out west is that, and I haven't really done this very well, is like there's obviously a certain level of almost social pressure to be a specific level of like outdoorsy or like
an expertise in a certain.
Do you camp? Do you hike?
Yeah.
Do you ski, snowboard, cross country ski, mountain bike, cross country bike? Like what's it called, biking on the streets when you're like trying to go for speed or whatever?
Speed.
Just
I
like.
I don't even do it, but
just like
speed biking.
Just speed biking, whatever.
Speed biking, race bike racing.
And like people go do that whole thing like the Grand Fondo where it's like, I'm gonna go like however many hundreds of kilometers up, like up and down elevation, all of it. Like, I get it. They enjoy it. That's awesome. But like for someone who's just not into it, it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't really want to spend $1,000 on a bike and try to spend like my whole summer just to get in shape for one thing. Like for me, it's just not like a joy. But like it's here. Everyone's doing it out here. So like, if you don't get into certain activities, it's like almost like, well, you're not really from the West Coast. So I'm from away, you could say.
Right.
I'm clearly from away because most of my time spent playing sports still probably.
But golf, you always you play that. That one, have you been playing golf since you were a kid?
Not exactly. Like obviously did a bit in high school here and there, but never like, I never played golf. It was like your dad takes you out once or two times, and then like you've gone to the driving range one time or something. You know what I mean? It's like you can't really play golf unless you either live near a golf course, like as a kid, unless you live near a golf course, or your dad regularly takes you to a driving range and to actually play golf.
Oh yeah.
That's the only way when you're younger. Like you can't just suddenly decide, oh, I'm going to spend all my money on going to the driving range and get there with golf clubs. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
Especially not St. John.
It's very like you almost need to have that parental hookup.
Yeah.
Or be an adult and then get into it.
Yeah. So if you get when you're an adult, it's a lot easier. Obviously, you can go spend money and blah blah blah. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I got into golf as a kid. But I play less now than I did. Like I'm playing progressively less.
Yeah, but your dad's like a level above the average for sure too, right? Like having that input in the background of playing stuff too, which is helpful.
And it's true. He was like just always playing golf, so I was with him, and it was great. That's when we met. That's when I met Doug Gilmour. I think that changed everything. When I met Doug Gilmour in summer '93. Yeah. When I met him and his agent, I think it was his agent.
Yeah,
but
makes sense.
My dad just took me out of school and said, "All right, come to the golf course." It was like strange.
Okay, Dad.
Okay, I will do that. And then all of a sudden, Doug Gilmour on the 10th hole with his agent, and then me, and I'm, not grade 5, so I'm 10 years old. Yeah. So I can't really drive the ball like they can. They're full-grown men.
You're just trying to keep up.
So I would drive, and then we'd pick up, and I would drop with Doug Gilmour. I don't even remember if he was good. Yeah. I don't remember if he was good.
Yeah. He probably seemed like it no matter what, right? Because he hit a huge shot or whatever, right? Yeah.
I picture him playing hockey. So we just got done watching him play that summer and losing to Gretzky in the Western Finals in hockey. I'm not even a big hockey guy, but I watched that because of the buzz, right? I was more into like watching the Bulls that summer. Michael Jordan retired that year. So I mean, but it was that's what really got me into golf. Was like, oh, Doug Gilmour plays golf. Well, that's cool. Yeah, he's a good guy.
You get a role model, so to speak. I guess.
Let's play golf with him. Because I couldn't believe it. And it's funny when you meet celebrities who you're only used to seeing on television at that age, and you see them in real life. It's like, whoa, it's like you almost feel like they live in that television.
Yeah, especially if you think about St. John, like
small town.
How many celebrities came through there that you ever saw, really? Maybe Don Cherry or something, but...
I think he's the biggest celebrity I ever met in St. John. That
would make sense.
Have you met any celebrity or any noteworthy... I mean,
actually meeting. I mean, I saw BB King play there.
BB King came to St. John.
Yeah, he was there a couple of times. I got to see him. Really good.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
I mean, they got a few bands after they built Harbor Station, like music bands and stuff. But I don't ever remember actually meeting anyone famous there, like actually seeing them and meeting them or anything like that.
How many people did Harbor Station fit? 10,000? 5? Was it 5? I don't even know.
I'm always terrible with like picturing numbers for those stadiums because someone could say to me like, this stadium holds 100,000. I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's
like Wembley Stadium or somewhere crazy.
But like, is that a big number? I don't even know. Like, is 100,000 people a lot? I have no context for the number of people in the stadium.
Yeah, that's a lot. Well, football stadiums, I think most of them have about 50, 60,000.
Okay. So Harbor Station isn't 40,000 people then.
But I feel like Notre Dame has like 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know my numbers on this either. Like if someone.
But if we're talking about St. John, it would make sense that it's not going to be like, it's going to be less than average. So.
5 to 10 max.
That would make sense. Maybe 15 if you're lucky or something. Mm-hmm. You gotta watch those St. John Flames. That was the big pull for that stadium, really.
Right, the Flames. Well, I remember when they were naming it. Remember when they were naming Harbor Station?
Harbor Station.
And they floated a bunch of names, and they all sounded bad, and then they just chose Harbor Station, and then everybody I knew was like, Harbor Station. What a terrible name.
It's not really that alluring as places
Station.
go. You mean you could probably think of some more.
It's on the harbor.
Some more enticing. Like it makes it sound like a place you want to go. Do you want to go to the Harbor Station? maybe not so much. But
I remember that, the St. John Flames. That's right. I didn't meet any celebrities aside from Doug Gilmour, I don't think. I've been thinking about that ever since I even asked you. That's pretty cool that you got to see a B.B. King. But that's just it. Like, we weren't getting the events. People weren't really coming there. Like, everybody did really live in the television.
And there wasn't really anyone there to... Like, why would a celebrity really go to St. John? It's not like it's not like a quiet city somewhere where it's like it's got a lure for other things. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, one of the, like, if you look at some of the stuff that's like super awesome about St. John, New Brunswick versus out here. When my family came to visit out here, we had aunt and uncle, my mom, my cousin. We all did a trip up to Campbell River, did the bear watching, the whale watching, and they wanted seafood because that's what East Coasters like. And I'll eat seafood. It's not like my number one, but
you can do it,
but I like it. So we took them to the market, just Granville Island. Go there, go to the seafood market. And they were like so offended by the prices of seafood out here.
Everything here is pretty priced up.
3-pound lobsters. I don't even know what they were costing. But my uncle was like a fisherman.
Yeah.
and a mechanic. Like, I don't know if he was a fisherman, but he was a mechanic who knew fishermen.
This is not what I would pay at home, that's for sure, kind of thing, right?
Oh, yeah. He was like, oh, no, we're getting out of here. This is ridiculous. Yeah. This is crazy.
But that's true, right?
Yeah.
The initial price adjustment for certain things, some food stuff, cars actually a little bit like that too, because cars don't rust out here, and so they're still valuable. Whereas, you find a 10-year-old anything back east, it's like you're pretty sure there's something rusted out somewhere, and so it's not really worth a whole lot of money anymore.
Yeah.
But here things hold their value a lot longer.
Oh, the salt destroys all the vehicles. I remember like my dad bought a Toyota Tacoma. And then I drove it around, and like my friends at the time, I think I was 16 or 17, they're like, "Oh, the rust box Toyota that's gonna rust right off that truck soon after this winter because all the salt on the roads." Yeah. And then I did start when my friend said that, I started noticing around the city old Toyotas specifically in parking lots that had the shitty rust box, and it was just like. Right near the gas cap is where it started. Okay. Right over the quarter panel there in the back, or right over the panel on the back, just above the wheel well.
Yeah, like it's like the nucleation point for it kind of thing.
Yeah. And like I was bonkers for cars then,
Oh yeah, Wattslud.
The Wattslud, the Prelude, 92 Honda Prelude with the cat eyes in the back.
It's a cool car.
Everybody wants to race when you have that car. Everybody wanted to race me.
It was an interesting time for cars if you think about what was there at the time.
Yeah.
That was pretty up there as far as I could go. I mean, for like what was considered like the attainable, right?
I think a lot of it was I just want the car because I was so into cars. I didn't really think of them as like this money pit like I do now.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Now I think of it as a money pit.
That's a tough lesson to learn, no matter how old you are.
Yeah.
A car, like... Yeah, you gotta decide what it is for you. Like, I know I'm paying more than I should right now, but it's because like I value the joy, so to speak, of the car.
Yeah, you get the satisfaction out of it. Yeah.
But I know there won't be a day that far off where it's like, okay, you just find the car with the least depreciation that will last the longest, but still is reasonably, good enough to get around, whatever.
Yeah, you need something to like you kind of enjoy because I mean, like we always see, I'm really close to West Van. And in North Van, so West Van, whenever I'm over there, I always see people who have really nice cars.
Oh, like, the crazy ones.
Yeah, there's like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Maseratis. I think I even saw a Bugatti over there.
So that was the funny thing too, right? Like talking about tiers of things you see. Like, so St. John, if you saw a Mercedes or BMW, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was like, that was a nice car.
Yeah.
Then you went to Halifax, and occasionally you'd see like a really nice car, like Rolls Royce,
the Rolls,
like really rarely Lamborghini, a couple Ferraris kind of thing. And you're like, whoa. And now here it's like every day they're just rolling around like this. It's not even a thing anymore. They're just like I see them all the time. It's like okay, you know what I mean? Like if you wanted to go see nice cars in the city, you can just go look and you can find them in about 10 minutes, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like here, you see them almost every day. If you just take Lionsgate Bridge once.
Yeah, there you go. There all kinds.
Take it at 4:00 and you'll see many because there's such a massive traffic jam every day that you're going to see some nice cars. Land Rovers seem like they're a dime a dozen out here.
Oh yeah.
I don't even think I ever saw one until I moved out of New Brunswick. Yeah. And I don't know why because like they're a little bit more expensive.
It's funny. It's not even an expensive thing for New Brunswick. There wasn't certain dealerships.
there wasn't dealerships.
They didn't exist. There wasn't even certain stores. Like there wasn't even. I remember for the longest time we didn't even have like a Gap or something. Like
Right.
stores like that weren't even in our mall. It was like, well, I remember some of the certain kids at school be like, oh, I only go to Moncton to buy clothes. It's like, okay, well, great. I don't know.
Yeah, Moncton.
What does that mean?
Most people had like the imports, like Honda and like
Oh yeah. You had Honda, you had
Yeah.
Toyota,
Like the
Subaru,
Japanese cars.
Suzuki,
yeah,
Nissan.
they were
Nissan.
everywhere, and they were done up too. Like people would put exhaust systems on them, and clear headlights, taillights,
Yeah.
put like custom emblems on them. And then I remember like where the street racing took place. Like, and that was like a thing that I started getting invited to with my car. And I went and I was like, there's no way I'm doing this.
This is like the cost is so significant for a kid that
Yeah.
age too, right? Like if you smash your car or something stupid, it's
Man.
like you can't just go out and replace that fender panel or whatever, right? Like
And it was at night too.
yeah.
It was like at night, like just this part of the west side that I'd never really been to. So it's just you have at night and there's street lights lighting the road that you're about to race on and do
Yeah.
like quarter-mile drag racing.
Yeah.
And I was like, there is no way. And there were people doing the Fast and the Furious thing there,
Yeah.
like listening for the cops on the radar, and then also like making it so like there would be somebody be like, okay, the cops have like a house fire that they're going to. We just caught it on the radar. Go. And then
Yeah.
they do this quarter-mile race, and it was like, I remember this one guy had like a Honda Del Sol.
Oh yeah, those little things.
And those
yeah.
are like just little pocket
No,
rockets, but he had it all
yeah.
done up, and it sounded like a I don't even know, just
Like a fart can kind of thing.
yeah. It had like a sound to it that was just like, whoa, this guy has a full like from the manifold
Yeah.
exhaust system with a huge filter and everything. But I like he was also fast. I think he had a turbo in there.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a lot of money to put in.
Yeah,
Like that's a lot of cash.
it is an expensive thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird too. It's like, so once you get here and you start looking at things you might want, and then you start realizing, what is it? Like an hour's drive south across the border, like most of these things cost like thousands of dollars less.
Yeah.
Like significantly thousands of dollars less. And so you start realizing the reason that people in California are doing a lot of stuff is because like not only are they getting paid in American dollars and they're paying for it, like which is an American, it actually costs less, like significantly less there. So for them it's all like super affordable. It's like it costs money. It's still expensive compared to somebody who doesn't, like a teenager's not going to do it, but you can afford like $1,000 every 6 months if you're whatever to do stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas, here it's like, well, it's going to cost you like four or five to do
Yeah.
stuff. It's like, well, I don't know if I really want to throw out that much money.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Because you got other bills too. We're adults.
Yeah.
So like
the bills.
some of these people were adults too, but I still remember, like for example, when I moved to Newfoundland for school. Newfoundland, my rent was $350 a month.
That's real fun.
That's it, $350 a month.
Yeah.
And in Halifax, it wasn't even that much more. It was $500 a month.
Yeah.
And when I subletted out here just a few years ago, for 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
my rent, they gave me a smoking discount. It was like $600 a month to sublet from one of the people who lived in this house, student housing.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful house, but they were paying $900. They were
Whoa.
paying $900 a month, and that was
Yeah.
3 people, $900 each, so $2,700 for a 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
That puts things into perspective if you are an adult who has like 2 kids, for example.
It's a lot of money for.
Because you're looking at
place.
$2,700 as like the baseline
Yeah.
for just getting 3 bedrooms, like the square footage.
Yeah. And what's particularly unfair about it is like that's actually a pretty good, healthy mortgage here, but can you afford the capital to put the down payment on a place that big? No way.
That's the
no
other.
way.
That's the other shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can never get that, like, because you're paying rents is out the nose.
Yeah.
You never can build up the capital just to be able to put the down, like deposit, so that you can pay that as a mortgage instead of a rent payment.
What are 3 bedrooms going for out here now? 2 bedrooms are
It's gotta
between
be-
like $650 and $850, right? So 3 bedroom is like $850 to $1 million, depending on the area.
Probably, yeah. It depends where you go a little bit.
So if you're $1 million and
Yeah.
you need 20% down, yeah, that's a big chunk.
One lesson, speaking of houses, cars, and other things, I have learned though is that you're better off to get shittier things earlier that are good enough, but shittier, because practically speaking, as soon as you go above a level, like a threshold, that's now like you gauge everything and buy that, and like to go back a level down or whatever that you want to call it is like you're noticing that things are shitty, like that this isn't as good. So like a good example of that would be something really simple. It's like you get a nice car, like a really nice car, leather interior, or something stupid, whatever. It's
Yeah.
really nice. And then you realize, oh, this is costing too much money. I'm gonna buy a more affordable car. You can, but as soon as you get in that car, your brain's gonna be like, this isn't as good.
Yeah.
Like, and you're not gonna be happy. Like, to you, it's not gonna be a happy thing. Whereas if you had just gone to the right decision first, skip that luxury item above, your brain's just like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
This is still good. You don't even know you've missed it. So like, same thing for our house out here. Sarah and I have completely renovated our house, and so yes, it's not really big, but everything is very like
Pretty
clean. It feels new, even though the outside's like an old building.
Yeah.
And so, practically speaking, we've both acknowledged, like, yeah, we're probably gonna have to save for longer to move to like a bigger place, because we won't be able to go to a bigger place that's shittier, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because it won't live up to our standards, basically.
Yeah. Totally. Like, and that's the trick always. It's like, you know, you can only go so long in one space. I think you always have to kind of move up to more space, especially if you picture that you need more space for future kids.
That's the
stuff like
thing,
that.
yeah. I think there's got to be a level which you can get and be content. And I would think after that, if you like literally have the free capital to spend, maybe then, at least for me, I'd want to buy property like somewhere I want to go vacation or something, rather than buying like a bigger house, because I don't really feel like I want like a giant house. I just want a house which is good enough, room to do stuff, room to be like, privacy if you want it, kind of thing.
Close to a golf course.
Yeah, close to a golf course would be good. Room for a golf simulator inside wouldn't be bad, or garage.
Winter
car.
mode.
Winter mode would be great.
Ooh, yeah. Well, that's why the interior is becoming more and more attractive to me.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I like North Van, and I've lived in Kits, and I've lived downtown. North Van is nice, but I didn't like it at first, and I've only been here for 3 years.
It is pretty nice over here.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sarah and I came over here just walk around on the weekend, because it's you can go over here and it's not too bad, kind of thing.
Come on down.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to get people in the neighborhood.
But I think this is kind of like the next Kitsilano.
I think so.
Because it's like, it's not too crowded yet, but there's a lot of fresh new stuff going on here, like a lot of young people too, which is the biggest thing, right?
Yeah, there is. There's also some changes around just the laws in the municipality. Yeah. So, for example, one thing they did recently was passed a law where you're allowed to drink in parks.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
You know about this?
I heard about that. Yeah.
It's I don't know which parks. And that's the confusion. It's like, I need an app or something. I need something on Google Maps to tell me,
okay,
this park is like, add a drinking okay button.
So we found one the other day when we were walking around. Like, if you're down at the...
So you just noticed people were drinking in the park.
Yeah, if you're down at the quay, like, where you can walk where the trains and the buses, or where the buses and the ferry thing is over, you should just keep on going to the right, like down the water. Water's on your left, just going straight.
Oh, okay.
And the first little park is there's a spot
So
there.
like right on the water.
Pretty much, yeah. It's really a nice spot there. We didn't drink or anything. We were just walking around and we saw it.
I heard they were going to set up people, like bars and things, like just someone to go and serve.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be really nice.
Well, if I was
yeah.
President King of Canada
and
I could have something implemented federally, it would be like, start serving food and drink on the beach. Let's adopt Europe a little bit.
It would be pretty good for everyone. Like, there doesn't really seem like it's a downside, is there?
Put in some controls around it if you want, but the downside is they're all safety and drunk people, disorderly.
But the thing is, like,
and it's like, if they are, then they already put by law enforcement officers all over the beaches anyway.
But like, if there's people making money off it, they're going to be be incentivized to make sure people don't abuse it, and so like they won't want to overserve people.
That's right.
And they won't want people to litter either. Like, they'll be there trying to make sure it stays clean, because that's a revenue source for them, right? So yeah.
And other large cities are doing this in Europe. Yeah. Many are. So like, when I was in Spain, it was just, they weren't part of a company or a corporation, or they didn't represent a bar. It was just random guys coming up and talking to you in Spanish and basically going, cerveza, mojito, here's the price. And then they would tell you, and I'd be like, oh, really? Like, they would come walk right up to you while you're on your towel.
Must be actually affordable there compared to here too, I guess.
Oh, it was amazing. It was awesome. I love that. I was like, oh, this is great. This is one big difference that Canada should definitely do. We already sort of have some things in play that are pretty good. I mean, we got the civic compromise. The civic compromise is red cup versus a drink of beer, and I actually think like, even this can I'm drinking right now, I think the beer companies like this one are starting to actually just make their artwork make this look like a juice can. It doesn't look like a beer can. It looks like a juice can. You know, if you look at the design and the artwork.
Yeah, it's not like the old days.
The bylaw enforcement officers don't run up to you so quickly and go, "Oh, here's an $84 fine or whatever the fine is, $100 now," or a red cup. Red cup, you don't have to get a fine at all.
Yeah,
and that's the rule. So I noticed a lot of people who, when I was living in Kitts, they were visa holders, people who were working here, living here for a little while.
Yeah,
they didn't know the rule. So they just buy a huge cooler of booze, just open up the cooler, beer, drinking it. Bylaw enforcement officers would swarm, and like hand them fines like crazy. But if you're a resident and
you
a
just
local,
know what to do. Yeah,
red cup it. You know what to do, because they won't even bat an eye at you. They never do. But you're still drinking.
True. Yeah,
you're still drinking. So is the law that they're trying to promote around fining people about drinking? Or is it about optics? I think it's about optics.
That's true, because I think historically too, if you look at like who the people who live here and actually have houses, it is a more mature population, you might say. You know what I mean? Like actually owning property.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of young people here who actually own full houses, especially around like the beach area and stuff too, because it's like super expensive there.
That's true.
So you've got like, long time residents who are just like, I don't want to hear this ruckus all the time or whatever. I mean, in some ways you want to be like, well, why don't you live somewhere else?
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's
like,
not really
go
fair
move to the interior, maybe.
Yeah, but if you like, honestly, if you want a quiet place by water, like there are places that are quiet by water. You can live there. You know what I mean? And they're not like super far away. They're just not Kitsilano downtown. Not the core areas where everyone wants to live, who wants to be vibrant, if you want to call it that. You know what I mean? Like enjoy the city, enjoy the life.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and every time my parents have come out here, I've set them up with like an Airbnb. Yeah. And it's always in this like beautiful neighborhood with great, housing and parks. And, like stuff to do, lots of amenities around, like lots of stores, shops, beaches. Every time they come, I make sure I set them up that way. And those aren't really that expensive. The real estate's crazy expensive. But the housing that I set up my parents for rental isn't like too cost prohibitive. It's okay.
It's fair. I mean, it's not like cheap compared to some places, but it's not like extortion or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, well, even versus hotels. Short term. Yeah. Holy, hotels are. If you go to the Four Seasons Whistler,
it's insane.
Even Sun Peaks, Four Seasons Whistler, I don't even know what it is. Yeah. I don't even look. Yeah. There's no point. Yeah. I know I don't want to stay there. Yeah. I immediately default to Airbnb. Yeah. I think every time I've stayed at Whistler, it's been an Airbnb. Like even when I went to Sun Peaks, the one time I stayed at a hotel was at Christmas time, peak season in Sun Peaks, and it was like $400 a night. $400 a night during Christmas. That's a lot of cash, right? Yeah. Because nothing else was available. But I was also like, well, I just want a nice place to stay, ski in, ski out. I'll bite the bullet. That's the most I've ever paid for a hotel. But for the most part, it's like $100 a night at Sun Peaks, and it's about $200 a night in an Airbnb at Whistler. Like usually, those prices are going up. Yeah. But Airbnb is like my default now. I go right to that. Yeah. You ever stayed in an Airbnb?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Airbnb a couple different times. I mean, obviously there's been Airbnb when we go like larger groups and whatever stuff. So like Airbnbs in San Diego. Right. A couple other ones. Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward thing. I mean, if you think about like what are you paying for, like that's different at the hotel. I don't actually see a benefit of being at a hotel. Like if it costs more, like what do you get for paying for more? Like I don't really see what you get.
Yeah, for the difference that you pay, usually it's like a pretty significant amount. Yeah. I mean, the only difference is like you come home to fresh pillows, fresh sheets. They did the laundry that day. That's it. But that's it.
It's not even like that big a thing.
It's not a big enough difference for me. I just always go with Airbnb.
Yeah.
And like the thing I used to do before, because now being, pushing 40, the thing what I used to do was hostels. Always.
Well, hostels are pretty convenient. I mean, depending on what city it is, a lot of hostels too are now kind of upping their game because they realize that they can get people who are staying because it is affordable.
Yeah.
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 So if you want like a bare bones room, just like a bed and a sink.
Yeah.
It's pretty fair. I'd rather pay like $50 a night or whatever, $60 a night.
Oh man, I rode the backpacker hostels until I think I was about 30. We just went last year for your
Yeah, that was convenient. Like
for your bachelor party.
that's another thing too. Like to be said about if you know where you're going and you know what the environment is there, like the people who are going to stay there. If you actually want to meet people or actually want to be able to like socialize, like actually socialize with other people, like hostels going to be probably the easiest way. Like Airbnb, you're completely isolated. You're not going to meet anybody unless you actively go out and like just invite yourself to strangers' parties, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then a hotel, marginally better maybe because you can see people in the bar maybe, but like even that's not really any easier. But it's like, you know, hostel, everyone there acknowledging that you're there to be social. It's like, hey, let's hang out. Who are you? Where are you from? Good times, kind of thing.
And I know some people who've never stayed in a hostel. They don't know about that, right?
Yeah.
So, and more than one, like for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember when I started staying at hostels, it was when I went to Australia, backpacking for a year. I mean, at 3 months of that, I stayed in a hostel. The other 9 months, I was in a place that I rented.
Yeah, but you're actually working then.
I was working.
That's a different thing. Yeah.
The 3 months when I wasn't working at all.
Yeah.
That's when you're like, I did the first hostel I stayed at. It was really nice and I liked it.
Yeah.
And then I thought every hostel was like that.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Amazing.
Guess, yeah.
And then you go to another hostel and you're like, ooh,
yeah,
there's some cockroaches
climbing
around while it's dark and I'm trying to sleep and I can hear their legs creeping around my face in this bunk bed. Yeah. And you know that they're just like on the ceiling in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And so like you get this mixed bag and like a weird like feeling of, you know, what is every hostel like? And the answer is you don't know until you stay at. So I don't know how many hostels I've stayed in my life.
I think to that point too, at that time, obviously there was the internet and stuff, but it wasn't the same way it is now. Now it's a lot easier to actually find out probably at least closer to the honest truth about what a hostel is like, just from like looking at reviews or like finding people who stayed there and talking to them, kind of thing. Whereas obviously it existed back then, but it was a little sketchier kind of thing. Yeah.
It's true. They are really stepping up their game now. Hostels are. Yeah. Because they basically they know that like they're up against a lot of competitors. That's a really competitive market. Yeah. And how you price your hostel, usually price is like the ultimate, way where you decide like how much do I set the price at? Because if I set it too high, I won't get them.
Well, especially if you're traveling too, because that's like it's your like duration of your trip is usually dependent on how cheap you can stay somewhere. Yeah. In a sense, usually.
Yeah. If it's like, and look, when I went to Nicaragua to go on like a surfing trip, I went there and I got the penthouse of hostels. There was the dorms where they had bunk beds. That's the standard. That's the normal level. But I was only going for 10 days, and I was like, oh, I want something really good. Yeah. I want like whatever the best might be, depending on how much it is. Yeah. And the penthouse was $50, and I had a private bathroom and shower.
That's hilarious, right? Like that's nothing really.
Yeah, $50 a night.
Yeah.
And the others were $20 a night.
Yeah.
So it was $30 a night difference. Yeah. But because some people were on these really long trips, that's what it was. It was more like they were budgeting. So they were like, if I just travel on a shoestring for $20-$30 a night, I can extend my trip by X amount of months. Yeah. If you do the math over the time of your stay. But for me, I was like, oh well, I'm only there for a short time, so it was great. Like, I just remember like going down to Australia and like and also through Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia, people were like trying to travel on $800 a month, and they were succeeding. $800 a month, food, booze, like hostel stay,
have a good time,
activities, everything. Yeah. But you really needed like I think $1,000 a month back then when I did it in 2010, 2009. So like when I did it, I was like my budget was like $1,000 a month, and I did $7,000, and I did 7 months, and then I went home. Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of that was due to me looking at how much the hostels were going to be, and then when I saw that they were like $25 to $30 a night, it's the difference between your trip being 5 months and 7 months.
It's a big chunk. Mm-hmm. It's a big chunk of difference. And again, too, like if you're there to travel and really experience things, you're going to meet way more people in a hostel. And like you actually get to see things because some people are like, oh, did you know about this? Did you know about that? We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You want to come along, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the experience.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. I mean, remember when we went down to San Diego, like the first time. Like that was, you really didn't, like we went to sleep I think every night at like 3.
Yeah.
And there was bonfires on the beach.
Yeah.
And everybody who was at that beach was from our hostel, pretty much.
Like I actually don't understand how I was able to do some of the things, like in terms of like hours of sleep versus what we were doing. But I guess because you're lying on the beach all day, you probably don't realize you're passed out a bit. But like it was pretty regularly far. And like it wasn't like we got up at like 1 every day. It's like we still got up probably like 9 or something, just because you're like, yeah, the sun's up, let's go have fun kind of thing.
Yeah. Just 4 or 5 hours sleep, maybe.
Yeah.
If you like, as long as it's like solid 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know it's gonna see you through for the rest of the day and the night, and then you go to bed again at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Or whatever, because there's just so much going on. You have adrenaline almost.
And it's just nice out. It's like it was hot out. It's beach, good bonfires, food, drink, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime I mean I don't know about you, but like for me when I'm in the water. If I'm like in the water or throwing the football on the beach or whatever I'm doing, like if I'm just outside in the sunbeam and I'm like near water, I will be able to stay up like as long as I need to in order to like get all that fun activity in, and then I'll go home and like sleep super heavy.
Yeah, that's true. You kind of crash a bit maybe after.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I just remember like crashing on the plane on the way back, and you having like dreams about being in the surf, and you're just like,
yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I remember that so well, and the flights too. Down there, I remember the first flight I ever got down there was like $300.
Yeah, that's
$250. Now it's $1,000.
I don't know what's happened to the world. Well, a lot of things have happened now in particular, but
now we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Airfare is definitely going to go up.
Yeah, it's not great
after this because they're losing so much money.
Yeah,
the airline industry. But like, I just even before this pandemic, the prices were already going up high.
I kind of wonder if exorbitant airfares will lead to a faster transition to like the whole bullet train hyperloop thing.
I hope so.
I mean, you can imagine the same way that the States and Canada and stuff back, was it the early 1900s or the 1800s when they did the first like cross national trains and whatever, right? Like if they did another big massive project, which was like a decade-long project and like huge billions and billions, trillions probably spent on it.
Yeah.
But after that, it was like you could go anywhere in the country within an hour or something, like something ludicrous like that. Like on one of these Hyperloop trains, it'd be like, like why wouldn't that be good for everyone if all the goods and services could move that fast everywhere across the country? Yeah.
Why not? It's efficient, probably.
Yeah.
Low cost.
Yeah.
I mean, especially over a long period of time. That would work. That would be awesome.
And it'd be like a good revival for the country in a sense that, like, like they say, like those big make work projects are usually good because it's a lot of money into your economy.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that all unfolds. Yeah. I don't even know when the next time we'll be able to really travel abroad anyway.
I don't know. It could be years, could be months.
It could be...
More likely at least a year, probably.
Yeah, it's probably...
But you can travel now. It's just... You're putting yourself at risk and you're paying out the nose for it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you even know what airfare is to like just go back to St. John, for example?
I haven't actually looked, but depending for some things. Some things are probably similar to what they were before, but I don't think anything's cheaper than it was before. I'd be surprised at least if it was.
Right. Yeah. Me too. Yeah. I don't know. I'd say like $1,000 or whatever. I don't know. It's hard to say. The prices are going to fluctuate a lot.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. Remember the gas prices just from the pandemic? Like at the beginning in March?
They were super low for a while.
They were super low.
And I don't really understand how they're back here, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like back to normal.
I guess
$1.30.
Yeah.
$1.30 a liter. And then I think it was like 90 during the pandemic. Like I think I got it for like 93.
It got pretty low.
95
at one point.
Cents a liter.
I hadn't seen that since I was in New Brunswick.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That's really low. Yeah. That was the lowest I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Here, what are we running? 53 minutes, Richie.
53. Yeah. What's the podcast time usually? An hour?
I don't know. I don't know yet.
Whatever you feel like.
Yeah. Like an hour. Usually an hour. We're good. We got enough in there for now.
Let's rock and roll.
I'll put it out there. So what I'll do is I'll share a link with you to this one. And I'm gonna cut it up nice in post production.
Make it post produced.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Make me look like a king.
Well, all right. Thank you, Richie.
Adios, amigos.
And I have more music work for you to do.
Back to the grindstone.
You're hired.
Get it going.
All right. Peace out, folks.
Adios.